Today I'm reviewing the Sonos Sub 4 wireless subwoofer in white. If you want to check current pricing or availability, that's linked below. I've spent real time integrating this subwoofer into a Sonos home audio setup, mixing it with soundbars and wireless speakers, watching movies, listening to music across genres, and adjusting placement in a living room and den environment. This review reflects how it behaves in those everyday scenarios rather than just technical specs. Let's set expectations clearly. This isn't a standalone speaker or full surround system by itself. It's designed to pair with Sonos soundbars and speakers to add deeper low-frequency output. On its own, it doesn't produce a full spectrum of sound, it's focused on bass. In practice, once it's connected to a Sonos ecosystem, like a Beam, Arc, or Era speakers, the effect is noticeable. In movie soundtracks with low-end, explosions, theme music, rumbling atmospherics, there's a fullness that simply isn't there without it. Music with substantial bass, electronic, hip-hop, orchestral scores, feels more grounded and weighty. Placement matters with a subwoofer, and this is no exception. I tried positions near a wall, tucked in a corner, and more open in the room. Close to a wall or corner tends to boost perceived bass impact but can sometimes exaggerate boomy spots in a room depending on acoustics. Placing it a bit away from direct corners gives a more controlled, balanced low end. In real use, it's worth trying a few spots before settling. One of the advantages here is wireless connectivity within the Sonos system. You don't need to run sub-wires across the room, which keeps the setup cleaner. Pairing and configuration via the Sonos app are straightforward, and the system optimizes bass level relative to your other speakers. The Sub 4's performance feels tight and purposeful rather than loose or muddy. In scene transitions and dynamic music passages, you feel the bass in a way that complements mids and highs without overtaking them. It doesn't shake the room like a dedicated, larger Pro Sub might, but in most living rooms it delivers a clear sense of depth that enhances the overall experience. A practical nuance with subwoofers is interaction with room acoustics. In some placements, especially smaller rooms or near reflective surfaces, low frequencies can build up unevenly. In my testing, shifting the sub's position by a foot or two changed how bass energy felt at listening positions. That's typical for all subs, not a flaw of this design, it just highlights that placement affects real-world results. This isn't a traditional wired, heavy subwoofer with massive cone excursions driving huge air movement. What you get here is a well-integrated low-end that aligns with Sonos's wireless audio ecosystem. When you pair it with a soundbar for movies or with stereo speakers for music, the difference is immediately perceptible without overwhelming the mix. Compared with soundbars that try to simulate bass without a dedicated sub, this feels more controlled and present. Against larger separate subs in full surround setups, it's less about sheer output and more about balanced extension that fills in where the main speakers leave off, and in many living room contexts that's a practical choice. This subwoofer makes the most sense for people who already use Sonos speakers or soundbars, want fuller, deeper bass in movies and music, prefer a wireless sub without running cables, value controlled low-frequency extension over raw volume. It's less ideal for people who want pro-level club shaking bass or those outside the Sonos ecosystem. It's designed to fit with the net family. So here's the bottom line. If your priority is adding meaningful, clean bass extension to your Sonos sound setup, enhancing movies and music without complicated wiring or excessive volume, the Sonos Sub 4 delivers that in a measured and capable way. It doesn't chase extreme output, but it complements the rest of the system in everyday use. Check current pricing below and evaluate it against your needs.